learn its capabilities. Okay, the next ingredient, design. Let's see. This one. Okay. This app right here. I don't know about you guys, but it's not looking so hot. It probably functions right. Probably a good calculator. Probably calculates your mortgage right. And it probably gets the job done, but its design is lacking. I point out 100 things on there that just aren't quite right about the app. Compare that to this design, Jamie Oliver's recipe. This is the top selling app. The difference is stark. Its contrast is right, the pictures are clear, it's laid out properly. You can tell that a designer, not a programmer, worked on this. When you're thinking about design, simplicity is key. You've got this little device here, and so tapping around is going to be hard. Watch how the user is expected to use it. You've got to run. If you're running, you're using your phone like Runkeeper to run. While you're running, it's hard to tap little buttons. So Runkeeper has big buttons. Keep the environment the person's using the device in in mind when you're designing it. The other point is, think about if the app really, really needs to be a mobile app. Everybody has good ideas, but the idea doesn't necessarily need to run on an iPhone. It could just as well run as a website. And honestly, creating a website is probably easier than creating an iPhone app. So just keep that in mind when you're working on it. I'm a programmer, I'm not a designer, and my advice is to use a designer. I try and make my own stuff, and you can tell. You can probably look at my icons and say, you did that one, and the designer did that one, and you get it spot on. So use a designer. If you're not a designer, there's resources out there to help you. I use a lot of stock artwork from iStock Photo. So some of my icons, I'll match them up with iStock Photo, so you get some good vector graphics there. A nice icon is important. That's the first thing the user sees. So instead of spending $1,000 or $500 on ads, if you think you're going to make it big, take that $500 and spend it on a designer. Your return on investment will be much greater. A non-pro tip, that's what people like me who aren't designers, I use Illustrator, which is a vector art program from Adobe. And that way I can resize graphics, because iPhones and iPads all use different graphic sizes, and so if you use vector art, it's easy and quick to resize. If you're a designer, you're probably going to use Photoshop or Fireworks or something a little more sophisticated, but for people like me that are a pro, I use Illustrator. The rule of 44. On an iPhone app, they've figured out that your finger can touch a space of about 44 pixels squared. So if we went back to that bad designed app, everything was scrunched together. It makes it really hard to actually pick the elements out. So if you stick to a rule of 44 pixels and have spacing between all your elements of 44 pixels, you'll have better luck in your overall design. Any questions? You guys, you can stop me anytime.
Okay. When you're doing that, you're saying 44 pixels vertically and horizontally from all controls, correct? Between controls?
I'm saying that control your time trying to touch should not be smaller than 44 pixels.
Oh, any control should not be smaller.
Yeah. And spacing, it works, 44 works between controls as well, but that one's probably a little harder to do. But it's really the controls. Like a button shouldn't be 20 by 20. It'd be pretty hard to touch if it's a main functioning button. Does that help?
Okay. Yeah.
Okay. And feel free to stop me anytime. Pricing, next ingredient. Some things to know. Apple takes 30% cut of all app sales. So if you've got a 99-cent app, you're going to end up with about 70 cents. So take that into consideration. You've got one customer buys your app, you've got them for life. Free upgrades, they're around. They can use your app as much as they want. You have no control over that. So you have to support them for life. price according to your category competition or like apps. So if you have a to-do app, those tend to be, some of them are free, but some of them are $1.99, $4.99. So even if you come out with the world's best to-do app, your price is probably going to have to be right around where the other to-do apps are. So price according to your competition. Then there's also pricing affects your ranking. So you probably all open up the App Store, and you scroll through the top 25 apps, and you probably don't even look at anything else. So you can use your price to game the ranking system. So typically, this is very generalized, but a lower priced app will sell more copies, and as more copies will raise its ranking, so it might break into the top 25, for instance, and once it gets there, natural virality will take over. And so you kind of got to play a game between price and ranking. You may say, well, this is the best to-do app out there, I want to price it $9.99, but if you sold it at $1.99, you're going to be higher ranked, so you're going to sell more than you would at $9.99.
In your opinion, to create user base, would it be a good idea or a bad idea to start free and then incorporate a price later on as it gets bigger?
Good question. A user base, you buy the app one time, so they're never going back to buying the app. So user base meaning people start talking about the app, it could work. But honestly, your best chance of being noticed by Apple getting promoted is that day you launch, and that's when you get most of your traffic. App sales tend to be long tail model, so most of your sales happen right at the start, and then it's a slow decline out, and then it's just a flat. No matter what you're doing, it's flat. So if you start out free to get all those people, and then you price it, you're past your prime opportunity.
If you can you do something like setting your app up and you might sell for 99 cents or give it away for free, but have it such that if you want to expand the functionality, you didn't have to buy it as an in-app purchase.
Right, and that's a very good monetization strategy. That's using in-app purchases to produce like a free app with a pro upgrade or 99-cent app with additional levels. That's a very good strategy. But my other presentation, monetizing mobile apps, talks about that very strategy and all the different ways to try that.
What about updates? Because I know whenever I have an app, they'll update that I'm more likely to continue using it, I'm more likely to go to premium service, but if they don't, I'll just delete it.
Yeah, and that's upgrades are an important marketing strategy. My gardening app, I tend to release updates every month or two. And that's one thing that sets me apart from the competition. Is there's some apps out there that have been updated in 2 years. Mine was updated 2 weeks ago. So it's a very good strategy. But you don't get paid for updates. That's part of the customer for life. Is somebody, even though my gardening app's 2.5 years old, somebody could have bought it on day one and gotten 2.5 years worth of free upgrades.
If they haven't updated a lot, it doesn't work or anything.
Yeah, I keep all my apps updated. All right, marketing and advertising. To a developer, advertising seems like an easy thing, right? You're going to go sign up for Google AdWords, you're going to set your keyword, your ad's going to be out there, millions of people are going to see your ad, they're going to click on it, they're going to buy your app, and you're going to make a lot of money. The reality of advertising a mobile app is that it's hard to make money. Okay? If you are paying Google 25 cents for every time somebody clicks on your ad, and only 25% of those people end up buying it, you're spending $1 or whatever to make 70 cents. In fact, the conversion rate of 25% is really high. It's usually less than 1%. So you're talking a lot of money to get one app installed. So advertising is probably a tough business to try and gain sales. It's not an end-all be-all. Same thing with like LinkedIn ads, Facebook ads, stumble upon, buying all of that. Banner ads at websites. Like a banner ad at a top gardening site is like, $700 a week. Okay, to get enough people to click on that and actually buy the iPhone app, the economics just don't work out. So it's hard to advertise. So you can do press releases, like I'll do PR Mac press releases at $20. I write them myself. They don't really do much except maybe spur a little bit of interest in there. So really what you do is you make a good app. Rule one, build a good app. And great apps get noticed. If you think about the last time you purchased an app, it was probably, I bet, because somebody told you about it. It wasn't because you clicked on a banner ad or an ad. It's probably because your buddy was playing it or somebody tweeted it out and said, oh, this is a cool app, check it out. And that's how the majority of the time, people buy apps. So what you do is you build a great app, and then you use your time. Do free things. Write guest posts for blogs. Like I've written the guest posts for gardening websites. So I'm not a gardener, but I try to learn about gardening. Be active in forums. So there's gardening forums that I can go out there. My wife will go out there and answer questions on gardening forums. And that kind of gets your name out there. You're not blatantly telling people about your app, but you're kind of getting known in those communities. You can submit your site to LinkedIn, groups, Reddit, Big, etc. And then you can email all your friends and family. These activities are free. I mean, all they take is your time, and that's what it takes. It's a slog. And I've been on the New York Times. I've been on parenting. I was on KSL Radio last week. All of those things, they don't make a noticeable amount of sales increases. It's not like, oh, you were on the radio, you must have made $1 million yesterday. No, they just kind of help. It's an all effort that kind of keeps sales going. And those kind of things are free. So that's where most of your marketing in advertising are going to come from. Some other marketing tips. Just like your website, you've heard of search engine optimization, SEO. There's App Store optimization, ASO. And the same sort of things you do with your website, you do with your app. You take your title and you keyword optimize your title. So my gardening app is Landscaper's Companion, gardening app, gardening reference guide. So I get gardening and landscaping in there. And so you get some keyword optimized title. Your description of your app, make sure it's got all the right keywords in there. And so I talk a lot about in the descriptions, gardening, all the things gardeners can do, gardening, how to garden.